Hello and welcome to Big Peatrie's vlog for this, our 53rd auction here at Scotch Whisky Auctions. You might have noticed that we've been using our Facebook account quite a bit the last while to get bottles out, to get you excited about this auction, because once again we are incredibly proud, we are incredibly chuffed to bits about the number of amazing bottles that we have in this auction. Not only do we have a good number of bottles, over 2,400 lots, but in this auction we have a depth of quality, of age, of rarity, of surprises that is quite fantastic. And for me personally, this has been one of the most fun auctions for us to work on, because the number of really exciting and interesting bottles that required maybe a bit more research, getting to look into the history of whisky, it's been absolutely fantastic. And we're now about to go live. Tomorrow we'll be going live with this auction, and you're going to get the chance to see the fruits of our labours. And once again, we're going to take you through some interesting bottles. A lot of these bottles behind us, while stars in and of themselves, are also representing what fantastic whiskies we have in this auction. So let's just get straight in there, and I'll rabbit on. I'll tell you about all these exciting bottles, and then tomorrow, like I said, we go live and you can get bidding. Now, first up, we have our Glenvor. This is a 35-year-old from the Silent Still range from Signatory, bottled at cask strength at 49.2%. Glenvor, obviously one of the lost distilleries, so this is whisky that you're really not going to get the chance to taste again. We keep saying this, the word's going to appear quite a bit in the next wee while, liquid history. I'll try not to overuse it, but it's going to get used. You're just going to have to deal with it. This is one in particular because obviously the distillery doesn't exist anymore, so you can get to taste a different style of whisky, a whisky that is lost to the ages of time. This one represents not only itself, but the number of bottles that we have from lost distilleries. This one from 1965, it's the oldest of the Glenvors that we have in this auction, or at least distilled in the earliest time. But there's a whole lot of other Little Mill, Rosebank, Glenvor, Ayrshire. There's just so many distilleries. Banff, that poor distillery that got bombed and blown up, it was a terrible time for it. There's so many of these whiskies that you can get in and have a look at. This is representative of all of them, and a great bottle, like I said, in and of itself. Next up, this whisky distilled in 1954. This is a Springbank 25-year-old from Cadenheads in its wonderful dumpy bottle. We love Cadenheads here. You love Cadenhead. You love Springbank. You love Springbank. Why not put it all together in one really wonderful lot, and a chance to go back in that most iconoclastic distillery. It marches to the beat of its own drum. It closes down when it feels like it. It bottles what it likes. It's a fantastically irreverent distillery producing phenomenal whisky. So this is a great chance to try that. Next up, again, closed, no longer producing, although seemingly producing an endless amount of this amazing aged spirit, is Kurosawa. Now this Kurosawa here has a samurai on the front. We have 5 different bottles of these samurais. Unfortunately, 5 samurais is too short from what you need to defend your village against marauding bandits. But it is a great chance, once again, to collect these wonderfully designed packages and to try whisky that you just can't get anymore. 5 of these Kurosawa bottles from with the wonderful samurais on the front. We also, you might have seen it on the internet, on Facebook, a 40-year-old Kurosawa as well. So some really, really wonderful ones. There's a wee mini Kurosawa from way back, which I know a lot of the mini collectors like. That's in the auction as well. Taking a break from whisky that is no longer being produced, we're trying something a bit weird, a bit different, a bit esoteric. I'm using big words today, I'm excited. What we've got here is Heaven Hill. Now this Heaven Hill is obviously one of the major bourbon producers for the United States, and without bourbon the Scotch industry wouldn't be what it was, because obviously we use the barrels. The other barrels we obviously use a lot of are sherry. Now this is a sherry finished bourbon. It spent its time at Heaven Hill, and it's 14 years old. 3 years of this was finished in a sherry hogshead. Now, I hope you can see the colour of this. Now, a lot of bourbons can be very dark because they take on that char from that fresh oak, as they have to under the American regulations. But after 2 years, there's no problem in finishing it. In fact, Jim Beam have some whiskies in sherry casks, and there's been some experimentation done over the years. But this is a chance to try the 2 main barrels that go into producing Scotch whisky together themselves. So an absolutely cracking whisky. The reviews, if you have a look online, seem to be all very excited about this whisky. So a very different and a wonderful chance to try something that you most likely, I can't imagine, you're going to have the chance to have tried before. Next up, we have a whisky that was distilled in 1949, and this is from Strathisla. This Strathisla was bottled by Gordon MacPhail. It's another Scotch Whisky Auctions favourite, Gordon MacPhail. Their lovely conveyor belt of rare and old whiskies, and this one was bottled in 2006, making the whisky, and it's somewhere in the region of 57 years old. So a brilliant chance to try. I mean, let's face it, Strathisla is not on a lot of people's #1 or go-to drams. A great chance to try something different, a very old version of this whisky, to see why it's so well thought of by blenders. Next up, another old whisky. It's 3 years older than that last one. It's the one you've seen online. I'm a wee bit nervous about picking it up because it is the Glenfarclas 60-year-old. It comes in this wonderful heavyweight crystal decanter. Glenfarclas, there's not an awful lot more that we can be saying about it in this continued old, wonderful, brilliant whiskies. Sherry, a family-owned distillery, craft, tradition, all the things that make Scotch the world's favourite spirit is in this bottle. It's a fantastic, fantastic lot. Brilliant whisky by all accounts. I've not been lucky enough to try it, and it comes in its own bespoke travel case because, frankly, you want to protect this thing. Next up, we have something quite different again, another lost distillery, but it's a lost distillery as such, and there's not one of the ones that we really go on about. It's not a Port Ellen, it's Provenmill. Provenmill, in case you haven't heard of it, is from Glasgow, and it's one of the ones that sort of got absorbed into Glasgow as Glasgow expanded, and it wasn't overly well thought of, but it was used. It was used for blending, it was getting on, and this is a blended whisky from Imrisk and Sons. Now, Imrisk and Sons took over controlling the distillery in 1860. They went into administration and stopped trading in 1922. Now, this is when the distillery stopped producing. Now, this is their blend, so it's 99. Let's face it, it's going to contain some Provenmill, otherwise, well, maybe that's why they went bankrupt, maybe that's the mistakes they made. That's somebody phoning about that bottle right now. That's how exciting this bottle is. So, this bottle here, bottled at 70 degrees proof, it is going to have been distilled around about the 1920s, possibly a wee bit earlier. So this is one of the rare whiskies that you're ever going to come across, because Provenmill isn't a big name. It isn't one of the household. It's not even, I mean, Maltmill's got a bigger name than Provenmill. A real chance to try something very, very different, own quite a bit of Glasgow and Scotland's liquid history. Now, we've used the phrase, I said I was going to use it, liquid history, a lot. And we use it quite a bit because these bottles that we get in here at Scotch Whisky Auctions, there is pride, there is craft, there is history, there is heritage that goes into making these fantastic whiskies, these brilliant spirits. The next one up is the oldest that we've ever come across. This is 1811, and 1811 is very important because this is in fact cognac. It's distilled in 1811, and that was when the town of Cognac received Napoleon. Shortly before he went off to pick a fight with Russia and lost. This was distilled in 1811, and it's amazing. If you think about it, this is over 200 years old. The liquid inside this was distilled over 200 years ago. A truly wonderful, wonderful lot. And I mean, we've been using this liquid history phrase over and over again, but this is ancient liquid history. It's amazing, a liquid that you can drink that very possibly would be very similar to what Napoleon himself got to drink. Now, if you don't think of it, you can think about that, it starts to bake your noodle a wee bit. It's quite fantastic. So if you've ever had any interests in becoming the Emperor of Europe, and you're quite short and you occasionally need to hide your hand inside your jacket, this is the drink for you. It's also the drink for collectors and for people who just really want to have something incredibly special. Now, I've gone on quite a bit today, and that's because we have this incredible range of whiskies. You might have seen the photos on Facebook. If you haven't, go on and have a look. We've got 10 lots that are 50 years and above, including a 60-year-old, a 57-year-old, a 53-year-old from Mortlach. We've got lost distilleries. We've got a ton of whiskies that haven't made it into this vlog. 1946 Macallan, 1951 Macallan, Macallan M's, just to cover the M word, the Macallan word here. That's how amazing this auction is. So please, ladies and gentlemen, get in, have a look around, and remember, Scotch Whisky Auctions, don't lose your bottle.